That was loud. Welcome to Bennett's BikeSocial. Welcome to stunning Sicily. One of the best places to ride a bike. Great roads, great for photography, great people and great food. Oh yeah, I'm here to ride a bike as well. And that is an extremely important bike because this is a big bike for Zero Motorcycles, the electric company from California. But it's also a big motorcycle for motorcycling because this is the first all-electric adventure bike. So how do you define what an adventure is? Because an adventure to some people is 50-60 miles and an adventure to others is going around the world. So it's a bit of a kind of grey area. So we've got a 19-inch front wheel, 17-inch rear. We've got a host of accessories that makes this a true adventure bike. It's not too bad. So we are having an awesome time on the Zero DSR. We're off-road. This behind us is where the 2002 eruption of Etna kind of ended, and we're in this beautiful national park. So we're trying it off-road, which is interesting because when you switch on, each mode has an off-road mode. So on usual bikes you'll have like street, road, rain, and then an off-road. Where with this model you have street, rain, eco and canyon, and then in those modes you can then go off-road. Obviously we're not on the correct tyres, we're on the Pirelli and Scorpion Trail, but it is quite dusty, kind of fesh kind of. There's not a huge amount of grip, but it's holding its own. So let me run through some of the spec. We've got multiple roads. We've got eco, street, sport, rain and canyon. Now they've introduced these modes in partnership with Bosch. And these modes actually react and change quicker to a petrol bike because it's easier and quicker because you've got no combustion normal engine firing order. Within these modes you have different regen, which is like engine brake control. We have different cornering ABS. We have different traction control and we have different power delivery. There's only two modes that have got peak power and peak torque. In terms of torque, we're 20% up on torque compared to other models, slightly down in power. The torque, as you can, well, if you've never ridden an electric bike, it's just instant. There's no gears, there's no clutch, you wind it, you go forward with fairly rapid acceleration. So let me run through some details and some more specs with you. Price, £24,150. Which, yeah, is expensive, but you're never going to have to put fuel in it, are you? Weight, 247 kilograms. Yeah, that's a heavy bike, but it's comparable to a big adventure bike fully fueled. And in terms of electric bikes, that's actually quite a reduction. Let's look at range, because that's the big Achilles heel of electric bikes. Zero are claiming 290 kilometers or 185 miles of city riding, 137 kilometers or 85 miles of motorway riding, and if you combine those two we're looking at around 185 kilometers range. Now today we've had a good ride out up here in Mount Etna, nothing on the motorway but fairly aggressive riding up and down the hills, and I managed to do 81 kilometers with 105 kilometers left, so that's 186 kilometers, bang on what Zero claim. It was quite interesting that when you try the different modes and the different regen, the range goes up and down. So when you're in canyon mode, that has quite a lot of regen, when you're coming down from Mount Etna, the range actually goes up. Really interesting to ride. And I think 186 kilometers or 115 miles. So the big question is that range going to be long enough? Now, for some adventure riders, they're going to be already laughing at a range of just over 100 miles in the real world, because they want to get from England to the south of France in a day and cover 600-700 miles and more, which this bike is not capable of. There's no way of trying to bend it or stretch it or lie about it. It just can't do it. But can you ride for 80, 90 miles, stop for a coffee, recharge it for 45 minutes and do another 80, 90 miles. How far do you want to go on your adventure? For some, an adventure of 200 miles around North Yorkshire, which this is more than capable of doing, is an adventure. So I guess the end decision on range can't be down to me. It has to be down to you guys. And I'm sure you'll end and start the discussion in the comments below. We've had the opportunity to try a little bit of off-road. Big thing for me is, well, there's two actually. First is you can feel the weight of the bike, but it feels GS-like, it's very low. So there's a nice balance to it, especially at low speeds. The second thing is on a bike of this price, which is what, 24,000, you would normally have semi-active suspension, which this doesn't. So we're riding on exactly the same setup as we did on the road. And it can cope up to a point, but then as soon as you start doing a few little jumps and a few pop-offs, then you are at the limitations. And because it's electric, you can hear everything. But actually it doesn't sound as bad as some electric bikes do off-road. Whoa! Right, we'll give it a bit. I mean, you can't pop it over things like you would a big KTM. And she definitely slides. I wouldn't say the traction is oh, dude! Spoked wheels are optional extra. The limitations really of this bike is the suspension, which is fully adjustable, but it's manually fully adjustable. And for £24,000, there's bikes that are, let's be honest, £9,000 to £8,000 cheaper that have semi-active all-in suspension or WP suspension, which means you can change the suspension as you go off-road, which you can't do unless you want to get the spanners out and get your hands dirty. So that is a bit of the Achilles heel of going off-road on this bike. But it is capable. We've done some nice dusty trails and it was fine. The throttle delivery is a little bit harsh, even in the off-road mode, which means it will spin the rear, but you do have off-road ABS. But off-road, you've got no clutch, you've got no gears, so it's a bit like a DCT Honda in that way. So I've done 60k, 65k, and I've got 120 left. So it's about 180k range. But we've just come down from Mount Etna and coming downhill in canyon mode with lots of regen, and it's gone from a range of 90k to about 120k. I'll press that hard. You've got the vehicle hold control, so it's just by pulling the front brake as hard as you want or the rear brake, and it just holds it. It's a Bosch system, which most kind of bikes of this ilk like the KTM has, and then releases as you go. To sum up, you'll have to admire what Zero have done in terms of technology, how they've designed the bike, what they're trying to achieve. It is a capable bike, it does handle, it is comfortable, the screen is excellent, which is manual, not electric. The rider aids work, it's reasonably intuitive. There's a huge cubby hole here where the petrol tank would be, that does 20 litres of storage. There's loads of bits about this bike that I love. And I have to look over at the engineers and go, do you know what? To do what you've done is impressive. You know, we've changed the frame, we've changed the subframe, so we get more weight on the bike. But the big question mark is going to be that price of 24,000 and that range. And that comes down to you as the end customer. If £24,000 isn't too much, and a range of around 100 miles in the real world is fine, because that's when you'd be stopping for coffee and lunch anyway, then electric could be the future.